the reading from the Gospel is part of that discourse that Jesus had with his disciples. Before the betrayal and the arrest and the trial and the crucifixion and the resurrection. There's a long discourse and prayer that Jesus had with his disciples. It was a setup. He was reminding them that they are going to have work to do. The Father is the vinegrower, and Jesus is the vine. They are the branches. And it's because they have that living relationship with Jesus. They're grafted into Him. It makes it possible for them to bear good fruit. If the fruit's not produced, if the branch is not good, it either has to be pruned and remain on the vine, and then gain its life again from the vine. Or you maybe have to cut away altogether because there's no real life to it. So he reminds his disciples, they're grafted to the vine, they get their life from Him, and they will bear good fruit. Because the life they have is from Him. And He's preparing them for a work which is going to take place. They're not really sure what it's going to do, or why this discourse is taking place at this time. But it won't be long before those events take place. And ultimately, He rises from the dead and He meets with them again. And then they know they need to let the world know that things have changed. They've changed in marvelous and wonderful and glorious ways. That branches that had withered and died, in fact, can come alive. And they're grafted into the true vine. And that work begins. The spread of the good news of Jesus and God the Father's love for them, the power of the Spirit. And people respond to that, but it gets to the point where there's so much to do and so few to do it. That the apostles decided we need helpers, and they chose the 7 men, which we now know as the deacons. And St. Stephen is one of them, the patron of our church. But Philip is another. And we're told in this story, in the Acts of the Apostles today, that Philip was chosen to do some work as an evangelist. He's going to go out and spread the good news. And not quite by chance, he placed a spot where the Ethiopian eunuch, the treasurer for the Queen of Ethiopia, has come to Jerusalem to pray, to do whatever he's going to do there, and he's on his way home. And he's there in the chariot meeting the prophet Isaiah. And Philip is put at the point where he can get involved with it. He says, what are you reading? Well, I'm reading this from Isaiah, and I'm really not sure what it means. And so it says, I think I can tell you that. Let's do some Bible study. And he gets up in the chariot, and off they go, gently and quietly down the road. And Philip explains what this prophecy from Isaiah is all about. He says, it speaks of Jesus. And let me tell you about Jesus. And how that relates to you in the Scriptures and the events which have taken place. And the Ethiopian eunuch is caught up with it. Philip has some good fruit to provide, good news to provide. And the Ethiopian eunuch says to him, how can I be part of this? And Philip says, essentially, Well, you can be grafted into the vine, and the life of the vine will be yours. And the Ethiopian says, well, how do we do that? He says, well, it's baptism, and this is what baptism is. Well, there's water over here, can we do that? And he gets out of the chariot, the Philip, and they go down to the water and he's baptized. And the Ethiopian eunuch gets back into the chariot, and off he goes, and suddenly Philip's gone. Where is he? The Ethiopian eunuch is going down the road rejoicing because he knows what's happened. He's been brought into a new relationship, a new life, and there he's going. We never hear anything more about it. But the faith came to Ethiopia very early. And what Philip accomplished bears fruit. Of course, then Philip ends up being transported to some other place by the Spirit so he can tell people the good news about Jesus. And in that, the good fruit is produced. Not just to the Ethiopian eunuch and the people who hear the good news and are grafted into the vine, but the branches themselves who are already in the vine bear good fruit. They grow spiritually, internally, in their relationship with God because it's being fed by them. You see, the good fruit is the good news. And that gets shared. And people get grafted in. And when grafted in, we're filled with that new love and that new life. And of course, as branches of the vine, we have the opportunity to bring others in. And we see those who are not part of the vine. There are brothers and our sisters out there that need to be brought in. In that first letter of John, he says, the love of our brothers and sisters is to bear the good news to them so they can be grafted in, they can bear good fruit. They're called to do that. Jesus is the vine and we are the branches, and he invites us to be producers of good fruit and to share that. Do as Philip said. Oh, let me explain this. Let me share this with you. It brings new life.